Come on. Come on. Still big, baby. Yep. That way. Come on. Good. Come on. Come on. Yep.
On a personal level, if you're going to accomplish anything worth accomplishing, whether you're trying to graduate college, you're trying to get a great job, get a promotion, be a world champion bodybuilder, be a pro football player, you're going to have to sacrifice a lot. And when you're trying to be the very best in the world at something, as an example, Mr. Olympia, you're going to make a lot of sacrifices in your life, your personal life, professional life, all these things, in order to achieve something really great. Because no one's ever done anything really great in the world without having to sacrifice a lot. And greatness comes at a very high personal cost. And I think, people, everyone right now is having to sacrifice in this country. You do without something, whether it's toilet paper or whatever, everybody's everyone's feeling this. And, I know from my personal journey, I was a young boy when I decided I want to be a pro bodybuilder, and I planned out my entire career. And I had short-term goals, long-term goals, and the ultimate goal was to win the Mr. Olympia. I accomplished every one of those goals except for the Olympia, but I came very close to it. And I sacrificed a lot, especially in my younger years, when my friends are out partying, doing fun stuff, going on spring break trips, all this. I was at home training.
Come on. Fouling. All day, baby. All day with it. No matter how big these fucking dumbbells get, you make the motherfuckers look small. The biggest shit, put his hands on it, that motherfucker just like,
I know, he said picture, he's like, man, he didn't look very much weight.
what the fuck?
It looks small.
Come on, baby. Come on, baby. Yep. That's good. Yep. Hold the head. Good. Good. Yep. Good. Come on. Let's go. Come on, right there in the seat. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yes. Oh yeah! Yep. Come on. Yeah, come on. Yeah, come on. Yep. 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 Go. Yep. Oh. Fuck.
And I was up at 5 o'clock in the morning doing cardio. Everybody else sleeping. I'm doing cardio at night. I'm working. I work 3 jobs going through school, so I can still train and support myself. And so no one does anything great without giving up a lot. And you just gotta, is your goal worth that sacrifice? That's the decision only you can make. And if it is, go for it. And be realistic. I was gonna be an NBA basketball player. My little short butt ain't gonna dunk nothing. But I knew I could be a good bodybuilder. That was a sport that was good for me. My dream was to be a pro football player. But at 5'7", I don't know too many 5'7" football players, right? So I picked a sport that, number one, I loved, and I felt pretty certain I could be successful at it. I never really doubted myself, to tell you the truth. Had I known early on that there was only maybe 10 people that were going to be successful in my generation of bodybuilding, I think sometimes being young and naive is a blessing, because I didn't realize how hard it was to get to that level and how very few people in our sport were really successful. But that was a blessing, because I saw, Ronnie Coleman, who worked out at the same gym we did, I saw him rise up and saw the success he was having, and I was like, well, if he did it, why can't I do it? And I did it. So sometimes being naive is a blessing. And if you want to do something great, better be ready to, number one, put the work in. Number two, you have to give up a lot of things you like and a lot of things you love in order to achieve your ultimate goal.
You know, and standing here next to Branch, listening to him, reminds me of two things, you know, two sayings that I always liked and always believed in. And one of them is, without struggle, there's no progress.
Come on, big dude. Yeah, come on. Good. Good. Yep. Come on. Come on.
Evil, the devil, brings you to your darkest point when you're about to do something amazing, you know. And so, to me, I think as a nation, we are about to do something amazing. You know, this is making us take a step back, look at the things that we've done, look at the things that we do now, and hopefully change them into a better way. You know, and like I said, turn our nation, you know, back into greatness, as well as individuals that were here in one of our darkest hours, you know, struggling, you know, stressed and all this stuff. You can either cave in with it, or it can make you stronger and develop you into doing something great, or making yourself great, or something around you great. So remember that, you know, during all these struggles, when you know, wake up in the morning before you go to sleep, when you're, you know, pacing around your house and all that kind of stuff, thinking of everything negative. And I have to say, you know, the media is one of the things that's really making this thing is harder than ever, is looking at that and seeing the reports. And every time, myself, I'm not a guy who, you know, walks around and be like, oh my God, you know, world is about to cave in and stuff like this. But looking at media, after a while, it makes you think that's about to happen. So you got to keep yourself mentally, you know, stable. You know, you find things to do. You find, you know, a way to work out at home. You know what I mean? I was in the military for 10 years, out in the desert, the Desert Shield, Desert Storm, out in the desert. We had to, you know, make our own weights, make our own, you know, gym, and, you know, train. So take a step back, like I said, you know, keep ourselves mentally strong, and, you know, not always thinking negative. You know, turn the negative into positive. Keep yourself busy. Keep positive thoughts. You know, my neighbors, they were in the Navy for over 30 years, Rip and Gene, and they're one of my best friends, you know. And, you know, when I moved into my house and met them, you know, and I discovered that we both had been in the military, you know, that was automatic. It's like, this is what we do. We, you know, started bringing food over, you know, going to visit with them and all that stuff. And it was a little, I don't know, maybe not weird. They appreciate it, but maybe it was a little strange. But I let them know that we're soldiers, and that's what soldiers do, is take care of each other. And they never have to worry about, are they there in that neighborhood alone ever again, as long as I'm staying next door. You know, and so we all need to treat each other that way in these times of need, that, you know, we take care of each other, we'll all get through this, and we'll be stronger at the other end.
Yeah. Well, there's a significant perspective change, right? I think it's good collectively for everybody to understand and slow down and reevaluate their neighbors, their friends, their family, people that mean something. You know, echoing kind of what Johnny said, talking about the darkness that lingers within, and God can inherently turn everything bad for good, right? If we change our perspective and we allow it to happen. So when you look at this stuff, yeah, it slowed everybody down. But what did it do? It brought us back to family. It brought us back to community. It brought us back to valuing the people that are next to us. It brought us back to respecting the intangible and tangible things that we take for granted, like walking into the grocery store and not saying a prayer or appreciate the farmers that provided all the produce that we're now begging for, right? Or all the manufacturers and workers and truckers and nurses and teachers and everybody that's out there still working their butt off while this disease is running rampant, and they're trying to battle it and figure it out while still serving people. And it slows us down and slows me down. Remember to value your neighbor. Remember the guy next to you. Remember the relationships and everything that you have that you don't take for granted. And stop taking it for granted if you do, right? Sometimes the busiest things we do in life, we just get busier. We're striving, we're trying to be better, we're trying to be bigger, we're trying to be smarter, we're trying to work harder, we're trying to do more hours, we're trying to do more and more and more. Sometimes we got to reevaluate, slow down, and do less, and do the important things. Prioritize. Kids, I see more parents outside with riding their bikes with children. You know, I see more neighbors outside sitting in the yard 6 feet apart with lawn chairs, you know, drinking lemonade and just talking. I see community. I see people valuing one another and serving one another. I don't know how many phone calls and text messages I get from people saying, hey man, are you okay? Can we offer anything? That's the level of community that developed this country, you know, years and years and years ago, and we lost that because we're so used to touching a button and having it delivered to our front door on Amazon. And we're so used to going into that small business and buying something and having it on demand. Now we need to appreciate the small business owner, support the people around us. If you've got a job that you're not affected too much, spend some money in the community. Go out forth and do some things. You know, obviously obey all the rules and do everything you can because we're all making a sacrifice. But, you know, like Branch and Johnny both said, sacrifice is the root of greatness if you do it right. So just a reminder, you know, love your neighbor. God's #1 rule.